Did we just hit a speed bump, or was that George Michael?
Answer me this, answer me this.
Can I eat baby pandas if I recycle?
Answer me this, answer me this. Helen and Ollie, answer me this.
Unsurprisingly, our discussion of the semantics of the word dickbag have stimulated some very thoughtful and thought-provoking debate amongst our listeners this week, Ollie.
Absolutely unsurprisingly. I'd say it's pretty much a high watermark for popular culture.
And the English language.
You'd expect that intellectual stimulation to ensue.
Yes, that's right. Many people have suggested that the word is something to do with douchebag, which I don't buy at all as an explanation. Maybe they're thinking D-bag, and people think dick is more pleasant than douche.
Yeah, I saw a person called Chris on our website said they thought a corruption of douchebag. So what they're saying is sort of maybe, in a way, accidentally, it may have originally, someone may have said dickbag instead of douchebag.
I'm not sure I really go with this explanation either from Bruce, who says, surely it's a reference to the phrase, go suck a bag of dicks, i.e. a whole bunch of dicks. Whether or not still attached to their protagonist is unclear.
Protagonists.
But I'm not sure that is a solid enough phrase in the canon. I think that's a phrase that is subject to quite a lot of variation.
It's an obscure image, certainly. No one remembers the moment in Dickens where Micawber goes off to buy himself a bag of dicks.
But I think the most plausible variation on what we said is this one, shared by many, but espoused most professionally by Eileen from New Jersey, who says, I've always thought of dick bag as a condom, a filthy used one to be exact.
The thing is, a used condom, that's more of a sleeve. A wet, disgusting sleeve than it is a bag, I would say.
It doesn't have an entrance aperture at both ends.
Does a sleeve need an aperture at both ends?
Well, otherwise you can't get your arm and hand out.
Unless it's got a built-in mitten.
Yeah, you're right. The whole function of a sleeve is entirely mitigated by the function of a condom, isn't it?
So actually, a condom, in your analogy, Ollie, is more like an opera glove, which is like a sleeve with a glove attached, effectively.
Yes, but you can see why no one said an opera glove of dicks.
I can't.
That's a lovely collective name, though, isn't it?
I think what we're doing is classing up the term dick bag with thoughts of opera.
Anyway, those of you who like us for our more cerebral work, do come back. Chris from Hunstanton says, Helen, answer me this. How do they change the light bulbs in university lecture halls?
Wow, they are a good lecture, aren't they?
That's someone who's really interested in proceeding.
It's a sign of someone in full recline, barely keeping their eyes open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, there is something that I do sometimes in concert halls when I go to a really boring work of classical music, and I realise within the first 10 minutes or so that I'm going to be bored for the next 2.5 hours. What I do is I actually ration the architectural features of the room. So I'm like, okay, I could look at the ceiling. There's a very ornate ceiling in this musical theatre. Don't look up now. Save that.
Save that
for the second half.
Yeah.
Start by looking at the orchestra, then maybe look down people's tops in the stalls.
Yeah.
But don't do that until we're at least half an hour in.
What about the carpet?
Yeah, the carpet is a good one to save for the encore.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the thing that is missing, isn't it, from musical entertainment very often, is something to look at.
Like the Royal Festival Hall. I mean, that's all very 60s and sparse, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
need to take a picture book with you, Ollie.
The only time I've been to the Royal Festival Hall actually was to watch the orchestra, I think it was the London Symphony Orchestra, accompanying a silent film.
Right.
So that satisfied the thing perfectly.
Which silent film?
Slightly boring one. I think it was Faust. It's surely only a matter of time before Tim Burton reimagines Faust with Johnny Depp, isn't it?
Oh, no.
What do you reckon? 5 years? They're going to do that, aren't they? Danny Elfman soundtrack, 3D.
See, that could be all right if
Yeah,
you hadn't
probably
gone so
Dark
rubbish.
Shadows was quite good, but you're just like, I get it, you're gothic, move on.
Yeah. You're a bit guffy, Tim Burton, I get
You
it.
get it. You only like working with Johnny Depp and your wife. But
Maybe they're the only people that will work with him.
a change is as good as a holiday. Anyway, the light bulbs.
Oh, yes, yeah,
Well, it really depends on the height of the building and I suppose their resources, because I think if you're at a well-financed university, they've probably got like a sort of cherry picker type thing or scaffoldy tower ladder thing.
Yes, cherry pickers are great for changing light bulbs in tall institutions.
Yes. I mean, even if your ceiling is just 8 feet, why not?
Why not? Treat yourself.
You can get these kind of extendable light bulb changes if your ceiling's up to about 35 feet, which is like a suction thing that grabs onto the light bulb so you can twist it out and then put another one in. But I think unless you're very skilled at it, you're waving around a really long, flexible thing with a breakable glass object on the end that you're trying to get into a really small fissure. But it's really no surprise that often when you're in a tall ceiling place, a lot of the lights are not working.
I've never really noticed that, but you could be right. But what about like supermarkets? Lights are always working there, and that's a tall building.
They're all fluorescent, but they've probably got cherry pickers.
Yes, they probably have. I guess if you're a chain of supermarkets, then you can afford to have someone whose only job is to go around all the different supermarkets changing the lights.
Yeah, I think
they don't even need to work for that specific branch.
Economies of scale, only man.
That's right.
Can you imagine the sexual exploits of that person? They'd be like, "See you again in 2 years, love. Here's some child support." They just breeze in. They bring light. They bring pleasure. then they leave.
They bring light. It's almost holy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you have any kind of frisson upon meeting a gentleman who was able to take you up a cherry picker? Imagining yourself, and I mean this with no disrespect to people who actually work in supermarkets, so imagine yourself as a supermarket night worker.
Yeah.
Man comes in, all right, love, I'll take you up in the cherry picker.
Yeah.
Yes or no? You'd say yes, wouldn't you?
That would be the most exciting thing that happened at work.
It would be the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
Imagine being really exhilarating. It's actually a real power trip, isn't it?
I've never been up in a cherry picker.
No.
Now you made me think I'd like to.
How many cops does it take to screw in a light bulb?
They're probably off doing paperwork or crime abatement, and they've probably got janitors to do that.
That's right, yeah, that is the punchline to the classic
Yeah,
joke.
of
Now, the
course
punchline is none, it turns itself in. Yeah.
I bet that very rarely happens. How many people turn themselves in?
I think that very much depends what department of police work you're in, doesn't it? How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb?
Whatever I say, you're going to analyse it, so I'm not going to answer that.
Hey, that's actually pretty good.
Right.
The accepted punchline is only one, but the bulb has to really want to change.
It's so true, isn't it?
That's quite good,
I think it's quite funny, yeah.
Yeah.
I think out of all of those memes, all of those old jokes, like it's better than the chicken cross the road, it's better than Doctor Doctor, the light bulb joke.
Or knock knock. Knock knock is
Knock knock
rubbish.
can be really rubbish.
That is the worst.
Hi, Alan Molly. It's Linus from New Cross. I am creating for DT Graphics a Game of Thrones themed card game. But thing is, my teacher is watching Game of Thrones, and she's only on season 1. So should I avoid spoilers for her sake, or do what I actually want to do?
I think that's quite thoughtful of him, really, to think of her needs.
I think, let's be honest, teacher's pet here, isn't it? If you're
Yeah.
going to the league of not only doing a Game of Thrones card game in your class, but actually, which you know the teacher likes as well.
You know how much of it the teacher has seen.
Yeah, but
Unless
then
she's the kind of
actually-
teacher who's like, oh, I went to bed really late last night because I was watching episode 3 of Game of Thrones, kids.
Do you think there's a credibility thing there in Game of Thrones? Is it cool in the schools?
I think it's probably just doing any activity that one of your pupils can identify with.
Yes.
Seems cool.
Yeah, and that's actually quite a useful technique, isn't it, probably for teachers? Just finding one that, because you want to be in charge, don't you? But just
Yeah.
having one thing they can identify with.
And you don't want it to be too implausible, like breakdancing.
I would suspect, therefore, that if you're actually being considerate enough to tailor your game around
Yeah.
the episodes your teacher has seen, then you're already teacher's pet, and
Yeah.
it makes no difference. So go ahead
Yeah.
and spoil the episode.
Since you seem to be teacher's pet anyway, could you say to her, look, I want to do this project. It will be incredible, but I don't want to spoil your enjoyment. You know, I'm willing to sacrifice my grades. What do you think I should do?
Yeah.
Ask her if it's okay for you to do spoilers.
And I think she'd say, as a Game of Thrones devotee...
Automatic A-.
Absolutely.
Even if you make these cards, will they necessarily spoil all of the narrative? Because I understand that Game of Thrones, which I have not seen, is very large cast and there are lots of different plots and
Yeah.
it's like covering this huge overarching empire of
Yeah.
thrones.
Doesn't appeal to me.
Too cloaky, Ollie. Too cloaky.
Cloaky.
Yeah.
Go on.
A lot of cloaks.
Oh, actually, just featuring cloaks.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing I should probably be really into, but
That's got dragons in it.
But it's all the made-up words, isn't it? It's when there's like, oh, we're going to the Landless Empire to talk to Lord...
Frethnach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
To
what I
save
didn't...
the Uberlar people. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
if I
To-
wanted that, I'd read Alan Garner books.
Yeah, it's what I didn't like about Harry Potter. The made-up animals and plants. Oh,
See, no, I quite like it in Potter. I'll tell you the difference.
hypocrite.
It's, that's one of the characters, isn't it? What I like about Potter...
Half man and half liar.
What I like about Potter is that you're seeing it from the perspective of the child going into school and you grow up
Exactly.
with him.
It's like Enid Blyton.
So you learn along with him.
Yeah.
Whereas Game of Thrones seems like something that right from the beginning, I'm an outsider. But actually, Linus, I think we might be hitting upon the answer here. From everything I know about Game of Thrones fans, it would be appropriate to have spoilers in there. Because it
Yeah.
shows a level of knowledge
Yeah.
that is about blocking out people like me who might want to adopt it and get into it late. Right, well, here's a question that makes me itchy just thinking about it. It's from Stacey from Plymouth. Always makes me itchy, that name, Stacey. No, not really. It's what she asked that makes me itchy.
Oh, I
listeners.
thought you were itching to get back on the Plymouth ferry that was so entertaining for free.
She says, Helen, answer me this. Why are head lice more commonly referred to as nits? Do they wear tiny jumpers?
Well, that's just silly, isn't it? Because knits, as you've written it in your email, Stacey, it's not even spelt the same as knit as in render
KN,
yarn into garments with a K.
Yeah.
It's because knit is from the Old English knitu, which meant knit.
Say that again.
Knitu.
I think that's my new ringtone. Isn't it funny how there's almost a nostalgia to knit eggs?
No, Not for me.
No,
but
it really isn't.
do you not?
Do you remember knits?
It's not-
They're so 80s.
No, that's exactly how I think about
They're
it.
not like fucking frazzles, Ollie. Come on, they're disgusting.
But they are disgusting, but doesn't it make you think of school? You say
Yes.
the word knit, you don't encounter it in adult life unless you're a parent.
But I'm not nostalgic about school at all.
Okay, well, perhaps I'm misappropriating the word nostalgia, but what I mean is
Retro.
it brings... Yes, it's retro. And
Yeah.
yet it's current, but it only happens when you're a child. I suppose as well that the word knit,
It's funny.
it sounds nicer for children
Yes.
whose heads are typically infested with them
Yeah.
than it does to say, oh, you've got a head full of blood-sucking mini-beasts.
Also, knits, it's the kind that enjoy to live in children's hair.
Yeah.
Whereas lice is several different types of pest.
Yes, of course. Lice is the sort of umbrella term, isn't it?
Yeah, so the term knit, I suppose, has become very specifically that kind of creature.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ah, well,
I once almost ruined a girl's life, but only for about 6 months.
just once.
I'm talking specifically about an encounter with knits, so it is just one girl at school. And this girl, anyway, leant down to look into her exercise book in front of me, and I saw... In my mind, it's like an inch long, but it was probably only half a centimetre, but it was a big knit.
Come on, it was probably the size of a turkey.
No, but it was much bigger than you'd think, and it
intense.
crawled in her hair, and I screamed like a girl, and she was like, what's in my hair? And I said, you've got knits, and then she just became like
Knit girl.
Nitty McKnit for the rest of the year, yeah.
If you've got a question, email your question to answermethispodcast at googlemail.com. Answer me this podcast at googlemail.com. Answer me this.
So, retrospectors, what historical events are we ticking off on this week's run of Today in History?
On Monday, the anniversary of the day Ozzy Osbourne and a bat came face to face on stage.
On Tuesday, we go back to the future with a potted history of the DeLorean.
On Wednesday, why is the Pope guarded by those guys in floofy hats?
On Thursday, how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ended up in Cleveland.
And on Friday, was Henry VIII really an asshole, or was it just the result of a jousting accident?
We discuss this and more on Today in History with the Retrospectors. 10 minutes each weekday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Here's a question from Luke from Norwich, who says, I've been reading some John le Carré books. Between the spying, the men sometimes head to gentlemen's clubs, where the upper classes drink and act stuffy and reserved. Ollie, answer me this. Do these clubs still exist, and who goes to them?
Sexist, basically.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the gentlemen's clubs, what's kind of confusing is the word gentlemen's club obviously now is used to mean lap dancing club as well. But let's take those associations out of it because he means very specifically things like the East India Club and the Cavalry Club and that kind of thing. 2 or 3 of those are still men-only establishments.
Yeah, I think the East India Club used to give discount membership to the male graduates of my school.
Yes, well, so the East India Club is one that is only open, I think, to people who have been to the right public schools.
Oh.
Which is weird. I mean, it is a weird... I don't even mind the idea that a club might focus its membership on a certain social group that can afford the membership.
Why? Because those people will get along when they're all hanging out in the billiard room.
No, because I can sort of understand that if you're someone who's on £1 million a year, or you're a celebrity, you're going to feel more comfortable in an environment where other people around you earn the same. It wouldn't be my choice, but I can understand why people want that.
Yeah, and also the clubs did evolve with people aligning according to their political beliefs or their interests.
Yeah, exactly. But what I find odd is, whilst it's sort of part of our capitalist system that you could become part of that group, you just can't go if you haven't been to the right school. Seems bizarre.
Or if you've got a vagina.
But most of them have now accepted people with vaginas. There's only a few that
That's very
haven't.
broad-minded of them. I think that whole thing's pretty disgusting, isn't it? I mean, I take your point about people wanting to hang out with people
Arseholes.
like them. But that's just that, you can argue that's a human trait, but it's not a very healthy one to encourage and explicitly codify in that way.
Well, hold on. I mean, there is a purpose to these establishments. A, there's the social thing, which you're
social
discrediting.
inequality.
Fine.
Yeah.
But B, there is just the thing that... Initially, these are mostly in London, these clubs, and they were there because gentlemen around the UK would be coming to London on business and need somewhere to stay and need somewhere to be during the day between meetings. When they came up to London, they'd actually lived there for a couple of years.
But that's not why they started, though. They started so that people could gamble. So it wasn't just to act as a hotel. And then they became really popular with the advent of universal male suffrage because... they had quite a political aspect as well, and people would go there to talk politics. And in the 19th century, when more people were able to talk politics, there was a huge expansion in the gentlemen's clubs. So we wouldn't have just been poshos then.
So one of them, the Reform Club, still, you could only be a member of the Reform Club if you're someone who supports the Reform Act of 1832.
Oh, what an act. What a great act.
I mean, I've looked through it on Wikipedia. It seems fine.
And it was one of the sort of interesting points of history level.
It's just sort of, more suffrage, more voting, and, not so much about landowners and rotten boroughs. I mean, good, but now... Not necessarily the most relevant question to ask, is it? Do you support the Reform Act of 1832?
Does it affect me? No, then fine. Yeah, sure,
exactly.
I do.
You'd say yes, wouldn't you? You'd say yes, even if you didn't. Even if you thought, I wish it was just landowners who had the vote, you'd lie so that you could get into their swimming pool.
And then how much, I wonder, does it cost to be a member of one of those sorts of clubs anyway?
Somewhere between £500 and £2,000 a year, usually.
Obviously, most people don't have that amount of money to spare, but that's probably how much it costs for like a football season ticket
or actually just joining a gym.
After.
I mean, that's the interesting thing, is it? Like the sort of upmarket personal fitness places have sort of taken the place of these for a lot of people. They go there to work out, and then they go to these social events, and they do end up spending £70 a month on it anyway.
It was funny though that these clubs had grown very kind of stale and really were associated with people, with like big red cheese because they drank so much port. And then in the sort of late 90s, there started to be the kind of hipster versions and Soho House then opened and all of those.
Home House.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the Cobden Club, another early 19th century one as well, was given a revival, and they were like, oh, well, Kate Moss goes to these, so they must be good. Like, can you explain to me the point of being in one of those clubs now?
Well, okay, so there's, again, it's the same point. So this is what I think is interesting about it. I've got a friend who's a hotelier, and I remember him saying to me, what's interesting about my industry is it hasn't changed for 2,000 years.
2,000 years?
You can basically go back to the Bible, and you've got the innkeeper, right? I mean, there are stories that people know what a hotelier is. It's basically the same job, providing a bed for money.
Okay, but they have changed a bit, because now you expect an ensuite bathroom, you get annoyed if you have to pay for Wi-Fi, whereas 2,000 years ago, both of those things would have seemed a miracle.
I think if only someone had opened a Premier Inn in Nazareth, history would have been very different.
Would have.
But the point is, the business is essentially the same. You're providing a bed, providing refreshment.
Yeah.
And in that way, I think the basis for these gentlemen's clubs is sort of the same as it ever was. It's social networking, isn't it? And it's a place to accommodate yourself between things. Those are still things people need. Every time I've been to Century Club, I've seen Russ Abbott.
Really?
That's an extra boon that you don't hear people say, but if you want to see Russ Abbott, go to the Century Club.
I don't think I'd recognise Russ Abbott if I fell over him on my way to a toilet in a club.
What if he was wearing a T-shirt that said, hello, I'm Russ Abbott, and he walked up to you and said, hi, Helen, I'm Russ Abbott?
I would think he was a super fan of Russ Abbott.
I'm an Answer Me This fan. I listen with my nan. She is not so keen. She finds it too obscene. I follow them on Twitter, though Ashton Kutcher's fitter. I want to take things further, just one step short of murder. I want to look like Ollie Man. I want to smell like Ollie Man. I want to be like Ollie Man. I want to chase like Ollie Man. I want to look like Ollie Man. I want to talk like Ollie Man.
Listeners, we do so enjoy it when you give us a call and leave us a question by calling this number.
02081235877.
Or by Skyping Answer Me This. Doesn't it make us feel absolutely delighted, Ollie?
It makes me feel this happy, he says, widening his arms to fill the entire room.
And let's hear who has been in touch this week to give us this amount of pleasure.
Hello, it's John from London. Helen and Ollie, I was just wondering, what is your take on the recent Coca-Cola adverts with all the personalised names on all the bottles and the tins and things like that?
Here's my take. Bullshit. Put that on a bottle.
Why?
Because it's bullshit, isn't it?
But the product is still the same. So I appreciate you may not like the marketing about it, but if I mean, this is the thing that I always think about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola could have Jimmy Savile advertising it. It would still be the world's most popular drink. It doesn't matter about trends and fashions because it's Coca-bloody-Cola. Being the marketing director of Coca-Cola is like the easiest job in the world in an established market like the UK.
Maybe they don't even have one.
I just think they're just having a laugh, aren't they?
Well, what is the idea behind it? Is it that it'll be like, oh, well, I'm not called Ashley, but I have a friend called Ashley. I better buy the Coke and give it to Ashley and then look for one for me.
It says on the bottle, enjoy a Coke with, and then the person's name.
Yeah, because it's all about sharing, isn't it?
But I don't enjoy Coke, and I haven't drunk one for years.
And sharing a bottle is rank because of the backwash.
Well, you could have 2 straws.
Again, backwash.
A bottle you could pour into 2 glasses, and then you wouldn't have the backwash.
Yeah, but they don't advertise it with the 2 glasses, Helen. If they advertise with 2 glasses, with Helen written on one, Ollie on the other, I'm there.
That's their next ruse. But I'm still not drinking the Coke because I don't drink Coke, so my first reaction is bullshit. My second reaction is I don't care. This doesn't touch me at all because I don't drink Coke anymore.
Right, well, I do drink Coke. And I similarly think bullshit because it makes no difference to... I'm happy to drink a Coke with Ashley written on it, don't care.
Are you happy to drink a Coke with Ollie, but spelt not the way you spell Ollie on it?
That's a very crafty question, Helen, because you know that's literally the one example where I'm going to say, of course not.
Because you spell it O-double-L-Y.
That's right.
Not O-double-L-I-E.
No.
Not O-L-I.
No.
Not O-double-L-E-I-G-H.
Yeah. Oh, God. I've never had that one.
It'll happen now.
Anyway, yes, not like any of those.
So have you drunk a Coke with O-double-L-Y on it? Have you found one?
I haven't. I have to be honest. I noticed this campaign from the point of view of the billboard saying share a Coke with James or whatever.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'd been given a bottle. The first time I came across this was in Covent Garden on a Saturday afternoon. They were doing a promotion giving away free ones. And I didn't know this was part of their whole reason. I saw someone with a T-shirt saying Colin or something.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, hey, Colin, can I have a free Coke? And he was like, sure. And then as I walked away, I thought, is his name really Colin? Or is he just wearing a T-shirt that says Colin on it? And I didn't realise that the bottles even had names. I didn't notice. It's only because of this question that I've even noticed that they've got names on.
Are you sure his T-shirt said Colin and not Cola?
I think so, yes. The thing is, we're all wrong because as it happens, this sales ruse is working. The reason they're doing it is because they tried it in Australia and sales rose by 4%. 4%.
That's rubbish.
It's not rubbish in Coca-Cola terms. They sell
like
billions of
trillion
bottles.
Yeah, but maybe it's because the population of Australia is growing. Have they cross-referenced the data with external factors?
I don't think they stumble into this kind of thing without thinking about it, Helen. I reckon they're onto a winner. And I think the reason might be that we live in this social age. And I think the point is, even though I find the idea horrifying, and if anyone's done this, please forward the picture on to me so that we can laugh at it. I think the idea might be you pose with your bottle and upload the photo to Facebook.
I've seen a lot of these pictures on Facebook, it's true.
There you are. And see, they've got 65 million followers on Facebook.
Oh.
Just people who say, yes, I like Coca-Cola. It's like, well, of course you do. You either like it or you don't like it. I mean, it's like water. I mean, it's just everywhere. Why do you even need to express that?
Well, it's browner than water and it's a lot stickier if you have a shower in it.
But it is omnipresent. Seems it's not a differential factor, is it? I like Coke. I don't like Coke. Fine. I know nothing more about you now. It's a popular thing.
Martin, have you drunk a Coke from a Martin bottle?
No, well, the thing is, I like cherry Coke. So actually, again, I'm not being a kind of freedom-loving radical. It's just, I'm old school. I want the cherry stuff.
Well, I think I'm right in saying you can get the cherry ones with names on as well.
Yeah, but cherry Coke is much harder to find anyway.
That's right, yeah. So the chance of finding your name on it, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Is
yeah.
Martin in the top 100 population?
Well, I like Pepsi Max and Dr. Pepper Zero. I mean, I'm really making a rod for my own back there. If they started naming those, I'd be there all year trying to find it in the supermarket.
What if they start having things like your birthday on it instead?
Or just your sexual preferences. That could actually be quite a useful thing, couldn't it?
I'm just not sure I want to swallow myself.
Hello, I'm Emily.
And I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Anne.
And together we are
the Bronte Sisters. I've just been on the moor.
Have you? I love the moor.
It's so very moorish.
I know. Why don't we both write questions to answer me this?
Good idea. Let's see who gets published first.
Okay, I've got one. Helen and Ollie, it's me. It's Kathy. I've come home and I'm so old. Won't you let me in your window?
No! Good, all right. My turn. Helen and Ollie, how did that mad woman get in my attic?
Oh, yes, very good. Right, why don't we go and spend 2 years working that into a manuscript?
Good idea.
What about me?
Oh, I shouldn't bother, Anne. No one will read yours.
Right, well, we are nearly at the end of what will no doubt in future decades be seen as a classic episode of Answer Me This, or at least it will be classic when we start calling it classic in 4 years' time when we start selling it. But we're ending in a way that perhaps the classic radio series Desert Island Discs does every single week. Michael from Crouch End has written to us to say, Helen, answer me this. If you were on Desert Island Discs, what would your luxury item be?
Well, because I'm fond of handicrafts and I'd find that very distracting from the fact that I was dying alone on a desert island in presumably a pool of my own piss, because what desert island has a good hygiene facilities, I would ask for a lot of cotton prints and needle and thread and scissors so that I could make some patchwork, because I don't often do that in real life.
Just curious, would you be listening to your Desert Island Discs? I find, after I've heard a compilation tape that I put together 10 years ago, for one nostalgic hit every 10 years, I don't want to keep listening to it again and again on a loop, even if I love those songs.
You don't want to make yourself sick of those songs
No.
because they're all you have. Although, interestingly, quite a few people have listed as their luxury an iPod full of songs or a jukebox.
That is cheating.
That is cheating.
Yeah, it's not called Desert Island Playlists, one of many.
It seems to be one of the most common things people ask for as their luxury is a piano. And I suppose that's a way of generating more music, or because people think, oh, I'd always love to learn the piano, but I won't have enough time unless I'm stuck on a desert island, unless you're Alan Rusbridger. I mean, a lot of people say they want just as much booze as the island can hold, which I think is probably a more sensible approach.
Well, I mean, this is dark, and I wouldn't say this if ever I was invited onto Desert Island Disc, which I'm sure is not an immediate problem for me. But I would seriously consider a suicide pill, because I wouldn't want to drown to death. But I would want the option to end my own life if I got bored. Right. I like the idea of a desert island, but I suspect after a year, and I don't think this is any failing in myself, I don't think it's ignoble, I just think after a year, probably had enough and I'd want to die.
Well, also, the image of a desert island has got palm trees and stuff on it, but that's not desert.
No.
I mean,
it's tropical, isn't it?
What you
Caribbean.
I suppose you could have an island that's a bit like a tiny bit of Joshua Tree National Park, but even so, what are you going to eat? What are you going to drink?
Well, there's the implication that food is provided, otherwise all those luxuries would be, and the music would be completely irrelevant.
Oh, but I still hate camping. I wouldn't have a good time.
I think what people say on the show, isn't it, is they say, oh, well, there'll be beasts that I can eat, but I'm a vegetarian, and there'll be water that I can drink, and there'll be coconuts that I can just... It's a given that there's some sort of natural food source,
Right.
But you're right about the sanitation. I mean, that's an issue.
Yeah, well, actually, Andy Kershaw, the DJ, said he would want lots of toilet roll as his luxury, but...
That's very thoughtful.
No, but how are you going to dispose of that hygienically?
Well, you don't care, do you? Because you're the only person on the desert island.
Just wash your bum in the sea, wouldn't you? That'd be fine.
Well,
saline.
I'd consider having a lifetime supply of antiperspirant, which is odd because A, there's no one else there to smell me.
Yeah.
And people think of antiperspirant as a thing you do for other people. And B, even if you don't like your own natural smell of walking around sweat drenched, you get used to it. Yeah. But it's the fact that I'd know that has been what separated me from what I was before I was on the desert island.
I think that's such a wasted vote. It's like the ballerina Darcy Bustle. Her luxury is an eyelash curler. Like, you're on your own. Who gives a shit about the straightness of your eyelashes?
Although I might shave in some way. If I could fashion some sort of scissors, as much as anything for my comfort, because again, sweaty, isn't it?
Maybe a sharpened shell or rock. David Williams had similar, along your lines, suicide pill. His is a gun.
That's quite good, isn't it? Because then you can kill other things and yourself with it. I mean,
doesn't
it sounds grim
specify
now.
bullets, though. You might have to club things to death with the gun.
You need to be specific. You need to say the accessory and the accessory to murder.
Yeah. It's like Ruthie Henshall, who is a stage actress. She asked for a very Ollie Man item, a jar of Hellmann's mayonnaise. Now,
yes.
No, but one jar. You could ask for 1,000,000 jars.
Yeah,
right?
Lifetime supply.
Well, yeah, exactly. What's she going to do when that one jar is run out? And also, could go rancid. She's not got refrigeration.
Yeah.
She's not got things to put it on. Maybe she's just planning to sit in the jar of mayonnaise to keep her skin moist.
If there was a Hellman spa treatment, I think I'd try it. Actually, would you be allowed... You're not allowed another person, if you said massage therapist, that doesn't count?
Probably only if it was animatronic.
I'd maybe go for that.
One that did happy finishes.
I know, yeah. I know that you're pretty relaxed on your desert island because you've got fuck all else to do apart from survive.
Yeah, I think that'd be very relaxing.
Which could be quite dramatic.
I mean, look at Castaway. He's having a great time.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You've got a lot of time to sit and reflect. But nonetheless, a massage is always good.
What would your luxury be, Martin?
Well, the obvious one's a guitar.
Yeah.
That was my first thought, but actually on reflection, probably pen and paper. Because you can do more with that. I mean, I could sing to myself and write things down, whereas with a guitar... I can't draw pictures and make little...
Would it frustrate you that the notes you were taking were only for yourself? No one's going to turn this into a Jeffrey Archer-style prison memoir when you get off the island.
Are you aware of my musical career?
Martin's album is available at thesoundoftheladies.com. I think the best example of luxury is Simon Cowell's. Would you care to guess what he asked for as a luxury?
High-waisted pants.
No.
Well, he's known, isn't he, for Black Lou Roll? Was it Black Lou Roll?
No.
Was it cigarettes?
No.
What's else Simon Cowell known for?
Narcissism, I'll give you a clue.
Was it a mirror?
Yes.
Was it?
It was a mirror.
A mirror.
That is ingenious. He's never going to get bored.
That's a joke about himself, though,
exactly.
Isn't it?
What a dude.
I think that's funny. Well done, Simon. I liked it, Simon.
Yeah, and also it would be something to smash and make into sharp shards so he could slit his wrist when he finally got sick of the music that he makes.
What he's brought upon this world.
Anyway, listeners, you can let us know your luxury, or you can just ask us a question, if you like, by getting in touch through all the communications means that we keep on our website,
AnswerMeThisPodcast.com. And if your desert island permitted such luxuries as a laptop and a broadband connection, then one of the things you would certainly want to bring with you is our free love film trial.
Good idea.
Which you can get by simply clicking the button that says free love film trial on our website.
Yes, or answermethispodcast.com/lovefilm if you have some kind of button blindness.
And listen, some of you have been pointing out this is the same trial you can get elsewhere.
Yeah,
we know that. Can you please focus on this crucial difference? You are supporting our show. We get money if you get this free trial. Yes, it's the same as if you went to the Love Film website, but they give us money.
Yeah. Why do you want to give Love Film more money when you could be giving us more money?
Exactly. They're owned by Amazon.
We're not.
We have no money. Give us money.
Yeah. And if you're thinking, why should I get this Love Film trial? Let me give you one very good reason.
Okay.
All of This Life is on there.
You see, now, I've never seen This
You
Life.
haven't?
Should I be investing in that?
Well, I don't know what it'd be like to see it for the first time now, because I saw it for the first time when it was broadcast in the mid-90s. And so now, going back, it is both revisiting me in the mid-90s and what entertainment was like in the mid-90s. And a lot of people do say things like, come on, it's the 90s. No one drinks champagne anymore.
There's a lot of very bold camera work, by which they mean no
Shaky.
tripod.
Yeah, exactly.
Really like seasick on an earthquake type stuff.
However, I was expecting it to be absolutely unwatchably cringeworthy, but it's holding up pretty well. The scripting is good, so maybe it is worth you giving a go.
So you have been watching it on Love Film.
Yeah.
How far have you got?
Well, I'm only 2 episodes in because the character called Egg has been talking a lot about Alan Hansen and Incy, the footballer. I got a bit irritated after that, but I will persevere. And listeners, if you want to retro live tweet along with me,
yes,
we'll do that sometime.
Watch with Helen.
Yeah, because they've got Dawson's Creek on there and Party of Five, so I think we could do a lot of 90s live retro tweeting.
I'd be up for, to be honest, not going to watch Dawson's Creek from the beginning, but I'd be up for
3
an episode.
episodes, yeah.
If I could maybe look on Wikipedia and find the ones that are widely deemed to be classic.
Yes, okay, let's
I would
do
revisit them on Love. We should say as well, by the way, there are like recent box office films on Love Film as well, not just shit TV shows from the 90s.
Exactly.
Wide range of content available for you there.
Exactly.
So do go and check that out. And also on our website, of course, there are links so that you can buy the Answer Me This app and our previous episodes that are behind the Answer Me This wall of pay, episodes 1 to 120.
Yes.
So please do that. That's another way that you can give us money, all of which we appreciate very, very much.
But the thing we appreciate most is your attention, and please return next week to give us another 30 or so minutes of it for Answer Me This 260.
Yes, please do. See you then.
Bye!